So once you finish your rings, you can then start to play around with different textures and finishes. The first one that I'm going to take you through is what we call a hammered finish. We're going to use our hammer in a few different ways to create different patterns or textures on the surface of our metal. To do texturing, you're going to want to make sure that your ring is on your mandrel, so that's nice and supported. And just remember when you do use the hammers to hit the ring rather than the mandrel itself. The first style I'll take you to is a more rounded and organic style using the round side of your ball bean hammer. The same way as you would before with the white nylon hammer, simply start to tap lightly on the surface of the metal and spin the ring around if you're trying to create the texture all the way around your ring. You can always add texture later on, but these hammers are much heavier than the white nylon ones, so be careful and be light to start off with, or you'll risk stretching your ring bigger. The next style creates more of a striped pattern, and we're going to be using the edge of our hammer here. You can also obviously use the flat side of the ball peen hammer as well. In general, personalization and textures is an area that you can get creative in, so try a few out and see what you like the look of, and feel free to mix and match different styles or create something completely your own. You might also like to try a few different finishes with different grades of your polishing paper or sandpaper. Remember, the coarser the paper that you use, the more satin or brushed look the metal will have. Here's an example of how to create a brushed look with the file in your kit. Here's what a more matte or satin finish would look like at 600 grit sandpaper. If you change your mind and you want your ring to have more of an oxidized finish, you can always add more oxide to the surface using your butane torch. Again, make sure that you're wearing your safety glasses, and this time around it's really key to bounce the heat off the board rather than applying it directly to the ring so that you don't risk remelting your solder. After you've applied the oxide to the surface using your torch and the heat, you can then just polish the top side, and that will create the contrast between your texture and the top surface of the ring. You can also get a little creative using the actual saw in your saw frame to create different cuts or scratches on the ring surface as well. So that wraps up just some of the textures you might like to create using the tools in your kit. But remember, you can be as creative as you like when it comes to personalizing and texturing your rings, so go wild, and I cannot wait to see what you create. I'm now going to teach you how to resize your rings using the tools at home. We're going to be showing you how to cut open and size down a ring and use a texturing or heavy hammer to size it up. It is also possible to size rings up without using a texturing hammer, but it's a more advanced skill and not something we're going to be covering in our beginner course. Sizing up a ring a couple of sizes is often pretty easy with the right hammer. If it's not quite big enough, you can simply put it onto your ring mandrel and give it a good whack with your nylon hammer. However, if you can't stretch it out far enough, then you can always get a heavier metal hammer involved. It's the same process, but using the ball peen hammer, you can start to knock and stretch out your ring, which will allow you to get the ring a number of sizes bigger. Just keep in mind it will thin out the metal, and it will also leave a bit of a texture on the surface. You can see here that the heavier steel hammer has left a texture on the surface, and it's also warped the ring a little bit. So remember to flatten them back out on your steel block afterwards. But the ring is up a number of sizes and fits me much better. Sizing a ring down is definitely a lot more involved, but it builds on a lot of the skills that you've already mastered by this time in the course. To give you an overview of the whole process, I'm going to start by cutting through the ring at our original join. I'm then going to re-overlap more of the material in the same fashion that we did originally cutting our ring, cut through it a second time to remove more metal, and then resolder the ring. The key is getting the right amount of material overlapped so that we get down to the right size and remove the correct amount of material. To start off, just check the existing size of your ring on your mandrel because you're going to need this later on. To start, simply cut through your original join. This will prevent you having two joins on your finished ring. Once you've cut through the ring, you now need to know how much of the metal to re-overlap. This step will require use of a little bit of maths and the conversion charts that are in the digital assets pack. We need to find the difference in length between your original ring size prior to cutting through it and the size that you're going for now. For this example, I'm going to imagine that I wanted this ring 3 sizes down. Now use your chart to determine how much the difference will be for you, but for most sizes, that's going to be about 3 millimeters that I need to remove from the original ring shank. Once I know the distance that I need to remove, I'm then going to create an overlap of that distance on my metal. Using your round nose pliers and the same techniques as we've showed you before, simply overlap 3 mil or the amount of material you need to remove. In this example, I'm going to imagine that I've got a ring size T and I need it 3 sizes smaller going down to a Q. That's going to be taking me from 65 mil worth of material to 62. So I know I need to remove 3 millimeters in the middle. Using your round nose pliers, you can then overlap the material the distance you need to remove. So for me, I'm going to get the overlapping section of my ring 3 millimeters in length. Use a ruler as you go to measure the distance of the overlapping section on your band. From here, you're simply repeating the process as if this was the first time you'd overlap the metal. You're going to start by cutting through it, then joining the 2 pieces together, soldering it, and then the cleanup process and rounding process is the exact same. So go back to these timestamps here if you need a refresh on how to use your tools to do these steps correctly. So you've finished your kit and you should be left with 6 awesome handmade sterling silver rings made at home by you. Congratulations. You might be wondering where to go from here and what's next, so let me tell you. If you enjoyed the kit, start off by scanning this QR code on screen here and leaving us with a review. We'd absolutely love to see a photo of the rings that you made with your kit right at home. We'd also love to make the kits and the course even better moving forward. So if you've got constructive feedback, send us an email at hello@blondestore.com.au. I also really recommend joining our Patreon community for beginner jewelers like yourself. Joining the community is totally free. This is where we'll be posting additional content to help you get the most out of your kits, and you'll be able to engage with the rest of the community. If you'd like extra support to assist or speed up your learning process and a range of other benefits, you'll also be able to upgrade your membership with us, which is totally optional but well worth it. Remember, like any new skill, practice will make perfect. And although I hope to have made this learning process as easy as possible, it's really practice that will help you improve your skills. The good thing is the tools included in the kit will allow you to make a variety of different types of jewelry. So decide what you might like to do next and get out there and go for it. If you'd like to continue to make more rings, then you can get a refill pack from us, which will include more material and things you might already need, like more saw blades, polishing paper, and a few other consumables. Click the link in our description to find those refill packs. In future, we plan on releasing even more different types of toolkits and tutorial content, so be sure to follow us on Instagram and keep engaged with our Patreon community where we'll be posting updates about what's coming next. Check out our digital assets pack for some next steps and things you might like to upgrade along the way. We've given you a basic set of beginner tools so as not to break the bank. It's nice to have the professional version of everything, but we've created a little list for you that steps you through some of the upgrades that are worthwhile and things we'd recommend getting first if you're looking to continue in jewelry. So that's everything we've got for you. It makes me feel really special to know that other people are starting on their jewelry journey just like me, with a basic set of tools, probably set up in their bedroom and making some handmade rings. We're working on some really exciting things in the pipeline, so I hope this isn't the last we see of you. But in the meantime, be sure to keep an eye out for new projects as they come live via our Instagram and Patreon community. Thanks again for supporting Blonde. All right, wrap.